Leave your old practices behind. Now you have the legitimate way of doing things. So in this ayah we're told something else to save ourselves from that the previous nations suffered from. Qila wa qal. Somebody said something, you heard it, and you say, yeah, that's how it is. Like a lot of you, your knowledge of Islam is just what you heard when you were a kid from somewhere. I heard somewhere that the angels, you could fit like 20 of them on the tip of a needle. I heard it from somewhere. Where did you hear it from? I don't know, when I was little I heard it. But it must be authentic because I heard it. Okay? A lot of people's Islam is just that. I heard somewhere. I heard somewhere it's not that bad to do this or that or the other. I heard it's not haram. Yes, you heard it, but it was waswasa from shaitan. You definitely heard it. But that doesn't legitimize anything. Allah says here, in this ayah we're being told, you can't follow any of your superstitions. You have to check everything in it. You have to check whether this is legitimate in our deen or not. Especially, I warn, Muslims that have lived in societies that have traditionally been mushrik societies or other kinds of societies, and there's mix happening. Like for example, a more contemporary example, is like Muslims living in Guyana. Like Muslims in Guyana after the Second World War, there's a Hindu migrant community, a Christian community, a Muslim community, and they mix with each other a lot. So a lot of the Muslim practices are actually mixed with their Hindu practices. You can't even draw the line clearly anymore. Look at the Muslims in India, Pakistan, for instance. A lot of our practices in our marriages and our ceremonies, you know what they look like, right? Hindu ceremonies. We don't even know where draw our line and the new line begins. Look at it in some secularized parts of the Arab world. If you go attend a wedding, you might think it's a wedding happening in like Texas. Like I said, even the way the bride and the groom are dressed, the way the ceremony is, the way they've decorated everything, it's completely Christianized. But it's a nikah. It's weird. It's like, you look at it and you go, what, is that a Muslim wedding or what's going on here? So you can't draw the line anymore. It become very blurry, This is what the Sahaba are being told. You need to draw a line. Islam is unique. You have to check everything by the legitimate practices. And this, my friends, will get you in a lot of trouble with your family. When you try to say we're going to do things by our deen and not by if our tradition conflicts. Sometimes our tradition doesn't conflict with the religion, it's fine. But if our tradition conflicts with our deen, we'll take our deen and we'll leave the tradition. You will make a lot of enemies out of your uncles and your cousins and your friends and their neighbors, and people will not like the stand you take. It's not going to be easy for you. But this is a stand, this ummah stood up to stand by this religion and have its allegiances to that above everything else. That's why we became Muslim. That's why we're Muslims. Because to us, the first priority is قال الله وقال Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then everything else is secondary. And if anything else gets in the way, we get rid of it. It doesn't mean anything to us. Actually, I shared this story this morning with my students. I'll share it with you guys too. One of my favorite stories of just, sometimes family ties get in the way of our love of deen. So should we go with the family or should we go with the deen? There's a conflict sometimes. This is one of my favorite stories of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. One time Aisha radiallahu anha, his daughter, got into a disagreement with the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They had a little bit of an argument. So Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, listen, why don't we just get somebody to arbitrate? Let's get a counselor. Let's get a marriage counselor to listen to both sides and resolve the issue. By the way, those of you that are having marriage trouble and somebody said, why don't you talk to a counselor? I said, no, not me. I don't need a counselor. What are you talking about? I have respect for myself. The Rasul of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, let's go get a counselor. Who are you? It's insulting. Really? Because it's a sunnah. So seek advice. There's no harm in it. So he says, who should we appoint? So he said, why don't we get Zubayr? She says, no, Zubayr loves you too much. He'll side with her. So Aisha, he says, okay, why don't you pick the counselor? And she says, okay, my dad. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Obviously, those of you that are fathers of daughters, the father's heart melts for his daughter. And in this kind of arbitration, obviously he's going to side with his daughter. So they invite Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he sits down. And Rasulullah asks Aisha radiallahu anha, so you want to go first or should I go first? Why don't you start? He tells Aisha radiallahu anha, why don't you start? Aisha radiallahu anha says, no, you start, because I want to make sure you say it correctly. Husband and wife can talk that way, right? Abu Bakr as-Siddiq hears that and he jumps on Aisha radiallahu anha. He's about to kill her. Rasulullah had to get in the way. Like, stop. That's not what he calls you here. Go. We don't need your help. We're okay. We're fine. When it came to, you talk to the messenger that way? Forget you, my daughter, I'm going to kill you. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq understood that very clearly. His son becomes Muslim after Badr. But in Badr, they were on opposite sides. Right? In Badr, so Abdurrahman radiallahu anhu tells, when he became Muslim, he goes, Dad, in Badr, I saw you a couple of times. But every time I saw you, I ran away because I don't want to fight you. My dad. He goes, that's funny, son, because I was looking for you. Because he wants to make sure he understands his love of Allah his love of family will not get in the way of his love of Allah. That's the religion we've accepted. That's the religion we've accepted. So the lines need to be drawn very clearly for us.